So yeah, stands for yet another flow meter. We talked about some of the optional features, where you get it, converting it, and what does the YAP format look like. Okay. So yeah, like I said, you go from PCAP to IPFix format, and it can also be run on the wire, on live traffic if you want to. The optional features is a byflow extension, application labeling, operating system detection, and deep packet inspection. And these links are on all the, here's the main app, the documentation. It has a pretty good man file as well. The app labeling and the app DPI if you want more. So next slide, please. So YAP application labeling. So there's many tools we'll be tying in here. It'll support YAPSCII, which we'll get to, RW FlowPack, FlowCap, raw IP fix to Silk, which is a Silk YAP tool. And all that does is add an additional column on the right. Here's what I was saying. So if you want to see how it does it, just open up your VM and go to user local etc YAP applicationrules.com. And you can see it more or less looks like this. It's pretty simple. It's a label, your regular expression, or a label, a plugin, a signature. Here's what like the port 81 looks like. Here's what the DNS one looks like. This is app label, not the DPI. DPI is a few slides in.
Can I just add that the app label, like the label for HTTP is 80, which is sort of an unfortunate choice because 80 is often used for HTTP, but not always. So just be aware of that if you're looking at it. It says 80, but it means HTTP. It's the same thing for all the protocols.
Or if you're feeling ambitious and wanted to write your own. Well, next slide.
Yeah. So we kind of open a terminal on the
Yeah, Control Alt T. Okay, good. It pop up. Yeah, very cool. So T0F OS fingerprint. So like I said, it's passive identification using libPOF. It's their own weird role of POF. When you actually compile it, it has their version and the original one in there. Use theirs. And how it does it is based on packet size, window size, flags. And if you're actually curious how low level, just pop into user local etc and open up the p0.fp file. You can go into more detail there. DHCP fingerprinting can be found here if you're curious. And the output is used with the YAP file mediator. Unfortunately, on the VMs, I don't have this installed. I could not compile it for the life of me. I did it on every version of Fedora I could grab, Debian. I think Willie actually found bugs in the make file.
Yeah.
So you can email the woman who wrote it, or you can try it and get it to run first person on BioFlash. So next slide. So here's the DPI that Drew was mentioning. It's deep packet inspection. I'm familiar with it. And how that works is you have app labeling has to be on when you compile it, and it's different per application. So the kind of deep packet inspection it'll do for your HTTP is different than DNS. And in order to do it, you just throw this command at the end of it. And also, if you want to specify only specific, you just want DNS, you can say that. Or the example here is DNS 80 and 421.
So I noticed that you define your labels to be port numbers. Does it have to be port numbers?
Yeah, if you want to say specific ones, unfortunately. Yeah. If you go to the man page for it.
What about like HTTP over a non-standard port?
It's a great question. I don't know. Do not know. We could probably test that pretty quickly though. Okay. If you do that while you're here, let me know what the outcome is. Yeah, the app labeling does it on port, and if it relies on app labeling, it probably indicated that as well. Okay, next slide. So this is the kind of general info you get. It's not complete. If you want to see more, check out the links or check out the man page. But for FTP, you're going to get your kind of commands and reply information. HTTP, all the info seen there. Note that you get the user agent string, location, response header, response code, any cookie headers could be useful. For email, IMAP, command and response, number of messages, you'll see the login and password. SSH, it only gets you version number. So I don't know how useful that is. Maybe someone's using a non-standard SSH client or something. I don't know. DNS, query response information, header fields. And again, all this information is on your VM, so if you want to go to user local etc dpirules.com, open it up, you're welcome to look at that.
For the SSH version numbers, any way you can convince it to collect keys to exchange the information?
You have to probably change the code and write your own, but not by default. No. But all the code's there, so if you're feeling ambitious. Next slide. So here's what it looks like. Drew, here's the FTP one. So you can kind of see label, it'll be YAF, and then your regular expressions that you want. So and there's that file I gave you has these for every protocol. Next slide. So how do you get YAF? The easiest way is they have a live CD. It's an old version of Fedora. I think it's 14. So if you just want to get it and kind of play with it. The RPMs are available for Fedora 15 and Red Hat 5. If you do want to compile it from source, have fun. Some of the dependencies are only on their website. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. I can help you out. But it is compiled on all your student VMs. Next slide. So, all right, the actual commands. So it's pretty simple. You just do YAF. There should be 2 hyphens there. So hyphen in your file name, and then what you want out. And if you want these additional things, such as the application labeling, you just add app label rules and this to the end of it. Same thing with POF, DHCP, deep packet inspection. And if you're unsure, just search the man page, man YAF or man YAF DPI for additional information.
Question, let's play with IPFix. What is that?
IPFix. IPFix is that NetFlow version 10. I think it's on slide. One of the first ones.
Latest version.
Yeah.
NetFlow.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's the same thing Silk uses, so it is much more with the columns or
So
fields.
that's the stack that you showed there on
Yep.
the slide.
Correct. Yep. Next slide.
Just one quick question on those. The max payload, I'm assuming that's how far into the flow it'll look for the data. Is
Yeah. The defaults on the man pages recommend 300. I did 400. I didn't notice any difference.
Does it actually take all of those bytes and include it in the flow record, or does it just use that to parse out?
I think it's the second one. I think it's for parsing purposes. I'm not sure. I'll have to get back to you on that. But great question.
Check out my guess as well.
Yeah. But great question. All right, next slide. Okay, so if you want to look at your output, unless you use the Silk tools, you're going to have to convert it to ASCII. Or if you want to throw it up in Splunk or any kind of log consolidation tool, it's simple. YASCII, file name, you get a file name .yaf.text, I believe out. However, if you use the additional plugins, you're going to need that other tool there. So next slide. So here's what it looks like. You can do it yourself. There should be, if you open up the VM, I think the file is in, is there a data directory on the VM? No folder? Data.
Okay.
Is there a gap folder? I see, and then if you do, less iTalk, DPI, yeah. Okay, cool. So if you want to look through that as we're doing the slides, so back to the PowerPoint, please. So YAF looks like this. So you have your timestamp information, your duration. You're going to have, if it's TCP, this is protocol specific here. So it's going to say what protocol it is, your source IP, the direction, remember earlier? Yeah. Where it's going, and destination port. So this one was 10.65 on whatever starting port to port 80, so probably web. This, I believe, is the sequence number. So if you do man YAF on TCP, I think that's the first field there. And these are your flags. So this indicates on one end it sent a SYN flag, and the other one responded with acknowledge, push, reset. If you have VLANs, it'll tell you what VLAN it was on here, which is really neat. And this is, let's see, packets, I'm going to number the bytes, and also what direction it was. And then if you had app label enabled, you'd see port 80 right here. So next slide. So here's another TCP one, which is just a reset. So you got things that are different. So there's no duration here. It says when it was done. You have TCP again, direction, to here. This one was, what, on 443 to this high level one. Sequence number empty here. Acknowledge reset, nothing response. One packet, 40 bytes, going in that direction.
Just like we have the 40 bytes there, that's the header.
I had a question.
Mind that it's got header included in the size.
Next slide. Here's how UDP looks. So, again, timestamp, your duration.
Hey guys, there is a question online. I don't know if you heard him or not.
Sorry, I'm not sure if you hear me. I just had a question. On the previous slide, there was some VLAN
The
information,
TCP slide?
and yes, the first TCP
Okay.
slide. Given that NetFlow has, the source IP, destination IP, ports, TCP flags, and so forth, where does it get the VLAN information from?
The VLAN information is what? That's packet, right? The packet level? The VLAN?
Yeah.
The VLAN
Yeah,
tag
that's
is
what
usually
we
in
got.
the
Yeah.
layer 2 header.
Yeah, so the question was, how does it get the VLAN information? Now, if I remember right, so VLAN, does it encapsulate the packet, the IP packet? You can do things where, like, you want to
VLAN
VLAN, to certain networks.
Yeah. So the VLAN is
VLAN
part
ID
of
is
standard
typically
NetFlow
the,
format, but yeah, it includes it.
Bill, can you repeat his question? We're having a little hard time hearing him.
Okay, sorry, I'm on a really disadvantaged link right now. But the VLAN ID is typically in the layer 2 header, the VLAN tag. So it never makes it to the layer 3 header, and I thought that's what NetFlow picks up. So my question was, how do you get the VLAN information from NetFlow data?
Oh, interesting. So the question was, where is Gap getting the VLAN tag from? And the student asked or stated that the VLAN was a layer 2, which makes sense. So yeah, I guess it's going down to that layer, like conversion.
Yeah, so keep in mind, YAP is running over either on the wire or running over PCAP. So it's got all that information. Usually for NetFlow, you're just pulling out layer 3 and 4 information. But YAP goes internationally pulls out that VLAN information in layer 2 as well.
Does that
Okay,
answer
so
your
in that
question?
example, yes, in that example, that data was not pulled from NetFlow, it was pulled from PCAP.
Say that one more time.
Do you hear that? I'll type it. I'm going to type it because it's hard for me to speak. I have a very slow link here.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
You guys know what VLANs are? Anyone? Everyone knows what it is? Okay. Basically, you can break up your switches.
So the question is, in the example, the VLAN data came from PCAP and not NetFlow. Yes, so keep in mind, YAP is running over either PCAP that you previously pulled off the wire, or it's listening on the interface and running over the PCAP. And it's producing NetFlow, but it's also producing the PCAP inspection records if you've got that turned on. And additionally, look through your layer 2 stuff as well, pulling that out. Another question on here, how good are the signatures for POP?
So they have their own role of it. So if you go to the slide, you can actually look at it if you have the VM. Sean, move the slide up. These are local bits. Can you guys read or see my VM? Okay.
I want to make the font a little bigger.
A little bit bigger? Okay. Edit, profiles, view. More, larger. Is that better? Thanks, Drew. Those tweets, user localized. Okay, so let's. Here's how it's doing it. I don't know what tweaks they've done. You could probably do a diff on the files. I think it might be in the downloads directory, or you can grab it off their website. They have both versions. The original P0F on the install instruction says, don't use that one, use our role. So. Cool. You're welcome. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so yeah, UDP. So it's much simpler than the other ones. Again, timestamp, UDP, source port, or source port, where it's going, number of packets, bytes, where it's going. And here's that app label one we talked about right here.